Hey everyone, welcome to our Financial Superfood webcast. Today is April 25th, and today we are talking about greed and what does it get you. I think the reason that we're bringing this up is if you follow the stock market, it's making new highs. It's had a really big rally since the end of last year. If you're a market historian going back 6 months, the market took a pretty big dip at the end of last year and people freaked out, and it's rallied back really strong since. That's kind of just what the market does. But today we're talking about, as the market continues to go higher, it always brings up the idea of, people chasing returns or being greedy or trying to make money when maybe that is the right strategy to do based on your personal situation. But the idea is really, what is greed and kind of what is the psychology behind it?
Right. I think it comes down to knowing what's realistic in your life and knowing like what that cutoff is, right? Because if you're unrealistic, you're going to shoot for way more than you can obtain. So like we're talking about the run up in the stock market recently, it's like, nobody knows when that's going to stop. We don't know. But at some point you have to start thinking, or at least a logical thought process would be to say, okay, we've had this big run up, now what? So the danger is, I think that greed can get a hold of you and you say, we've had this big run up, I think it's going to keep going. Let's just keep put on more risk, put on more risk, put on more risk. I like seeing big numbers.
Right.
And so it creates this psychological thing where it's greed. And, usually when I think about greed, at least, it's like this evil thing where somebody's trying to take advantage of somebody or trying to undercut somebody so they can make money or something like that. But greed can get a hold of you even if you're the nicest person in the whole world, because it really is a psychological thing, right? It's like you see something you like, you want more of it, and because of that, it's hard to kind of rein it in if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the idea that, if you get maybe a taste of making some money through an investment, or you get the taste of something through success, some person, if you could be a very good person with the right maybe expectations, but those expectations can quickly become unrealistic if you start to become greedy, right? So again, maybe something good happens to you and you want more and you want more and you want more and you want more, and you have to be able to ask yourself, well, is that realistic? Is that something that is achievable? Is that something that is going to be, I guess, also sustainable too, right? Most greedy behavior is not a sustainable behavior, right? Same thing. So we know the stock market goes up, we know the stock market goes down. If the stock market goes up, it does not go up forever. It does go up over time, but that also comes with the caveat that we have pullbacks in the market. But the idea that, it's gone up, it's going to go up forever. So like you're saying, I'm going to buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more. I'm going to take on riskier investments. That greed really turns into, potentially a dangerous situation, because now you're out of maybe your comfort zone. Now maybe you're making decisions that you originally weren't making because you want more, right? So that psychology of more for me, when you have that success, people fall in that trap very easily, and they think, I'm not being greedy, I just want more, or this has worked out more, so I'm going to do this, right? And I think we were talking about this the other day, but the idea of making good decisions is really people fall in this trap of making decisions based on outcomes, right? So if I make a decision to do something and that turns out good, that doesn't mean that my decision was good if I had a good outcome, right? I can make a bad decision and have a good outcome. And then that doesn't mean, are you now going to repeat that behavior, right? Because that's not going to work, right? If you're making bad decisions with good outcomes over and over, there's going to be a point in time where that bad decision gives you a bad outcome, right? So, I think we see this a lot of in investing, right? If you can go speculate on a stock, right, or a risky investment, and that may work out, right? And maybe you do make money on that one, picking that one stock or buying Bitcoin or something speculative. And maybe it wasn't a good decision because maybe it wasn't what's best for you, right? Was it maybe risking too much money? Was it maybe taking more risk than you're comfortable with taking? Or maybe you're in a position where I couldn't really lose that money, but yet you made that decision to go forward and you made money. Does that mean it was a good decision just because you had a good outcome? No. And I think greed factors into that very easily, right? Same thing with gambling. If I go to the casino, I know, and I go play anything, right? Slots, blackjack, table games, whatever it is, I know the odds are not in my favor, right? That's just the probabilities. I know the probabilities are in my favor. But if I go and make money, does that mean that that was a good decision, even though I had a good outcome? It would be hard to justify that because you know that chances are if you do that over time, you're going to lose all your money, right? So I think that's the psychology that a lot of people fall into.
Right. Well, I think what you just ended with saying is kind of what it all boils down to. He titled it, "What Does Greed Get You?" And really at the end of the day, it gets you nothing.
Right.
I mean, in the short term, it's just like we've talked about before with like, I don't know, with how you operate your business or how you just live your life or how you talk to people, whatever. You can do it the wrong way and get ahead in the short term.
Right.
A lot of people.
Right, the short term.
In the short term. But everything always reverts back to where it's supposed to be, right? So same thing with greed. If you're greedy and you take on some extra risk, you might get lucky. Like Saxon's saying, like, that's probably not a good decision, but maybe it had a good outcome. But eventually that decision is going to come back and it's going to bite you. And that greed is the same, right? Because you start getting greedy and you do things that psychologically you wouldn't have done without that greed kind of grabbing a hold of you. And maybe you don't even realize it, but eventually it's going to get so out of hand that it all comes crumbling down. I mean, unfortunately, in the financial world, we see it a lot, right? I mean, why did Bernie Madoff do what he did? Why did Vaughn do what he did here in Albuquerque? It's greed. You have one successful outcome, and then you say, oh, I wonder if I did this, what would happen? And it just gets way out of hand, and then it all blows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know that, I mean, again, this is just playing probabilities and math, right? And understanding how decisions and outcome work is if you continually make, say, a wrong decision or a greedy decision and yet you have good outcomes, we know psychologically is you don't say, oh, I'm just going to continue to make the same level of decision, right? You continue to escalate that decision, right? Because you see the outcome that's good. But what happens if you keep escalating that, getting greedy by wanting more and more and more, all it takes is one bad outcome and you're back to zero, right? So, or worse, yeah, absolutely. So the idea of being greedy and understanding decisions versus outcomes is really a lifesaver, right? Because yes, you may get ahead on the short term by being greedy, but long term, there's zero success in being able to do that, right? We know that from, and I think, again, it just comes probably from more financial matters, right? Whether someone is doing something illegally financially, or they're gambling, or they're making too risky of investment decisions, sooner or later, it all comes crashing back, right? I mean, I think the Bitcoin one is a great example, right? Speculation can also be a form of greed as well, right? Oh, it's making money. I put some money in, it's making money, right? If your sole purpose of doing something is to make money because it's made money in the past, again, you're not asking yourself, that's probably not the right question to be asking. So, but if you can understand that I'm trying to make the best decisions that I can, irregardless of what the outcome is, over time, the outcome is going to be good, right? I mean, again, same thing. It's here's a simple example is I can, let's say I'm a high school graduate and I can decide to maybe go pursue schooling or continue to increase my knowledge and build things up slowly over time so I build myself a bigger base to be able to a successful person, right? That takes time. There's not an immediate reward for that, but over time it's going to provide you with a good outcome because you're making good decisions, right? But it's a longer term process. Or I can just go, I'm just going to go sell drugs, or I'm going to, just go live my life to the fullest. And hey, some people want to do that. That's their prerogative. But knowing that there's no long-term sustainable path in that, and, or a scam artist, right? Scam artists are the same. I can go hawk some product or something. I can trick enough people, but sooner or later, someone's going to fall out, right? So there's going to be fallout from that because they're going to uncover what I'm doing, right? So the idea that I'm, building upon the decisions that I'm making and not being greedy, not letting my emotions get in the way of wanting that more and wanting it now. A lot of people wanting that, they want it now, right? We live in a world where everybody can get everything now. I can go get on Amazon and get what I want to in 2 days, right? It's just a world of social media, right? Oh, I see someone traveling. I want that now. I want to be right where they are right now. Well, how do you know? How long did it take them to get to where they are? Or is what they're doing even real, right? If you can't ask yourself those things and be able to, objectively identify things, you're going to be in a difficult position because wanting things now and doing the behavior to want it now is greedy, and that's going to set you back at some point in time.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Listening to you right now, it's like all of our videos are different. We're talking about different topics, but if you've watched more than 2 or 3 of them, you'll see that they all kind of come together, right? Because this time we're talking about greed, but even last week we were talking about some of the same stuff, is that you have to get rid of that short-term gratification. And greed definitely plays into that, right? Because I want it now. It's kind of greedy.
Right.
It's greedy. Or the Bitcoin example, like I have a plan. I know I want to invest, or I've worked with a professional. We've got this right. But my buddy told me Bitcoin just made 20%. I want 20%.
Right.
That's greed.
Right.
It's greed. And
greed.
it's just, it's all in your head. And if you can avoid that, that's making a smart financial decision. But that's why it's so hard, because you have to be constantly conscious about what you're doing, what you're thinking, and not letting the outside noise kind of dictate what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and as professionals in what we do, if someone comes to us and they go, I want to try to get this rate of return, let's say it's a high rate of return. Let's say I want to try to make 15 or 20% in the next 6 months to a year. Can you do that? I'm going to tell them no.
Right.
I'm not even going to try to do it, because I know even if I do it, it's luck, right? It's not, there's no skill that was involved in trying to identify a short-term winning investment, because I know that's not a sustainable path of making decisions. I may be able to do it once, I may be able to do it twice, but I know if I keep making that decision over and over again, at some point it's going to go wrong. The client's going to be disappointed and they're going to move on, and we all wasted our time, right? Because I didn't leave them in a better position.
Right. Well, and then you're also enabling that person, right? Because if they come in with that kind of greedy mindset, you say, yeah, we could do that. Let's go for it. Well, now their idea of investing is wrong. Right. And we taught them that. Right. Because we enabled them to think that way. And then even if we are successful with that, then what are they going to say next year? Well, you got me 15 last year. Now I want 20.
Right.
And it's like, it's all going to blow up. So it's like, it's hard. It's a hard job. But.
It is. But I think what we're trying to do with these webcasts and what we do in our practice every day is, again, what it says directly behind this is help people make smart financial decisions. And what we see more and more is that making smart financial decisions parallel making smart life decisions, right? That the smart decisions are the hard decisions. The smart decisions are not easy, but they add up over time. And over time, they're going to put you in the position that you want to be in by trying to cut corners, by trying to be greedy, by trying to, shortchange yourself. Yes, you may get the reward today, but years down the road, I promise you it's not going to work out, right? We just see countless examples of it. Again, just look around at maybe your life or other people's life around you. There's plenty of observations. Just be more observant of what people's behavior leads them to do, right? And if someone claims that they're getting something now, and now you want that too, well, again, you got to just be able to reassess yourself as, is that the right decision for you? Is that the best decision that you can be making? And is that a sustainable decision? I think that's everything, no matter what different topic we come back to. I think that's the summary of really what we're trying to get here and nail home.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to, is just try to stay conscious of what you're thinking and what's going on around you, and don't let stuff dictate your life. It's up to you. So.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Appreciate it.
Later.
Take care.